Hi, I'm Sandra.
Hi, I'm Lori.
I'm here today to introduce you to my friend Lori. And we met each other at Sedona Yoga Festival. And it was instantly that I felt, okay, what you're doing.
I know, I was wondering if I should comment about that. We can talk about pussy power.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Okay, all right, do that again.
Lori is an amazing physical therapist, and we met at Sedona Yoga Festival, and instantly I felt like, wow, what you are doing, Lori, is exactly what I am doing, but on a different level. So I'm more focused on the energetics of the womb area and all that has to do with birthing, sexual trauma. And Lori, what you're doing is actually going more into the physical touching of the body and healing the body with physical touch.
Yes.
So what is it that you're specialized in, and how long have you been doing it?
Okay, so I specialize in a form of treatment called myofascial release. And myo is muscle and fascia is the connective tissue in our bodies. And it really goes beyond muscle. Fascia is the thread that weaves all of our cells together and is part of the communication system in our body. And so it's pervasive throughout. It's the tissue that weaves all of your cells together and down to the cellular level. So it doesn't just wrap around muscles, but it's also infused within the muscle fibers down to the cell. But it's not just muscle. It's also your organs, your blood vessels, your nervous system. So it really can have a really profound effect on the totality of what's happening within your body. And can have overflow to the whole energetic, emotional, spiritual aspect.
Because the minute you're actually talking about, and the organs are connected to it, that reminds me of chakras. Like when we work with all the different chakras, all the chakras have their connection with the different organs. And what's so fascinating to me is that over the years in my own experience, doing energetic work sometimes brings up this need to attend the physical body, because the physical body is like limping along, is the last phase, because before you get to all the trauma that is stuck in the body, there's already like belief systems, emotional trauma going on, which then like kind of gets stuck in the body. So that's why it's so interesting to meet somebody that works on those same areas that we work on energetically, because I saw one of your interviews and you were talking about also birthing process.
Yes.
And how even a little baby can already be born with the need to have a treatment.
Yes,
because you can like support that little baby from the get-go.
Yes, because as beautiful and natural as the birthing process is, as you know, there can be a lot of trauma and physical trauma as it weaves its way out of the canal, or if in the cases of C-sections, it's going through a strong pressure change and getting pulled out of the vaginal canal or the abdominal cavity. But also all of the emotional and energetic angst that goes around childbirth, and especially if it's done in a hospital setting where there's way more protocols that are being required.
And medicine, and then just like forced, they use
forceps
tools and all that stuff. And it's not only the baby, but it's also the mom, because the mother can have a lot of like trauma because of giving birth. And that is energetic work that I'm doing. I'm leading people through the birthing process, where they as a child in the womb can reprogram their birthing process if it was really traumatic. But also what I do is I help mothers who had a traumatic childbirth experience, and they feel guilty towards their children because they were not able to give them a natural birth or a more natural setting. The womb area has so many muscles. It has over 20 muscles, and so there's muscle memory. So what I say to the ladies that I work with is that it's one big database, and it takes little snapshots of everything that's going on. It can be some trauma or some shame or some guilt, whatever it is. Working with that muscle memory, I actually go in, I do womb healings, and I clear out that energy. So on an energetic way, I am clearing out all that womb space. And that brings me to, where women have maybe infertility issues. How does that tie into your work?
Sometimes, for some women, infertility is blockages in the fallopian tubes, or maybe the uterus itself also has restrictions in or around it. Endometriosis is another thing where there's scarring that happens in and around or the outside of the uterus, and it creates a lot of pain and it's just a lot of contraction, so that if we open that area up, oftentimes it can allow for pregnancy. And the less that there is the stress around all of that, and we're more open and relaxed to allow that to happen, we allow that to happen.
Yeah, because that's where the energetics come in, because you hear all these stories about women that can have a baby at a certain point in their life. They're like, okay, I'll adopt a baby. They adopt a baby, and then all of a sudden they're able to have a baby in a very natural way. So that means that there's energetically, emotionally stuff going on. So the combination, again, between the physical support of the body, but also clearing out all those emotions that no longer serve you, that are not really helping you, is such a powerful combo.
I want to make another mention about, you mentioned the chakras.
Yes.
And so the first chakra is really about survival. And so it's not necessarily always sexual issues. Birth itself is kind of a survival. We're coming into being.
Yes.
Survival issues. So a lot of times there can be contraction or shutdown from just other types of survival issues. Car accidents, for one. We bind down there.
Yes.
And we may feel symptoms from being whiplashed up in our neck or shoulders or shoulder blades.
Yes.
But a lot of times the anchor of the cause of that is contracted down lower in our pelvic region.
And I can totally relate to that, because when I was pregnant with my first son, I was in a severe car accident.
Oh.
I thought the baby was dead in the womb. I had a whiplash. So
that carries a lot.
I carried that with me for many, many years. And it was only, I think, about 5 years ago when I came in contact with somebody that did, they call it sexual de-armoring, physical way. But when I had my treatment with you, I felt like, okay, this is very, very similar. And they were actually able to take that energy. And I did a lot of energy work as well, but that physical part was so crucial for me in that moment. So I can totally relate to what you're saying, and I feel it. And so if you have any of that trauma, how little it may be, like you were saying, could be a simple fall.
Yeah, or even on a more subtle level, when we talk about that energetic matrix of survival, it could be about you're breaking up in a relation, going through a divorce or just a relationship breakup. So the survival of that relationship is at stake. It could also be things where our finances are challenged, and so there's a survival of our financial picture, or a career or job ending or transition.
Yes.
So a lot of these aspects that you might not think are traumatic, that require the pelvis or involve the pelvis, can have impact there as well. So even like you're moving, you're changing locations, even if it's a good thing, we're ending a certain life in an area. Now we're also beginning a certain life in another area, but that whole transition can, not always, but can have elements of survival.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our center of creativity as well.
Absolutely.
So if there's any blockages in this pelvic area, in the womb area, it will definitely affect your creativity and your ability to receive abundance in your life in all areas. Well, a lot of the women that I meet tell me that there's some kind of numbness down there, in that whole pelvic area. They don't really feel like they want to have sex, and then there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of women also at a certain age that have incontinence issues, and that might be something that you see in your practice as well.
Yes, the work that I do really can make a difference in helping us overcome incontinence. And it's not really just when we hit a certain age. It seems to be happening younger and younger with women, or I think maybe we're more open about addressing it.
Yes.
more now. Incontinence is definitely huge, and there are ways to deal with it besides pads or surgery.
And I also, during one of the classes that you were teaching, you were saying something about Kegels.
Oh, yes.
And that there's a lot of misconceptions around doing
That's
exercises.
very important to mention, because the traditional way of looking at how do we heal incontinence is just do a bunch of Kegels, and that is old school of thought. We do need to work on strengthening at times, but what we're discovering more and more is that it's not really just a weakness, it's a contraction or a shortness and a restriction in this tissue, which leads to weakness. But so what we really want to do is elongate, lengthen that, really work on the relaxation phase. And I really believe that everything is energy, including the physical tissue, but it oftentimes gets it's a much more solid and dense form of energy. So sometimes it just requires a little more physical pressure in order to allow the energy that might be stuck in that physical tissue to unravel itself. So you in my work use a form of gentle but physical pressure, or sometimes with some movement or some elongation, a type of telescoping stretch that can help to unravel things and get to some of the hidden pockets of energetic stuckness or emotions and belief systems that you also address with your work. So it is a beautiful combination.
Absolutely.
To really work with people.
And that's why I was inspired to ask Lori to come. I'm giving a 3-day intensive where I'm really working on the energetics. And I asked Lori if she wanted to be part of it, and she's going to give an experiential tutorial about all that has to do with the body and the physical aspect of it. And I do recommend everybody doing the energetic work to also take good care of the body and give your body that support that it needs. And I want to talk a little bit about, because there's all these cats running around here, and it brings me to the topic of pussy power, of yoni, the armoring, because I had a session just a few days ago. Lori gave me a physical session, myofascial release, and you also go inside the vagina and you
put
pressure. And
so we have a lot of physical tissue inside of the vagina that also needs to be addressed and has gone through a lot of different traumas for many of us, whether it's even a simple thing like a slip and fall and bam, and things harden and get tight, whether it's some type of sexual trauma that we've experienced, or like we're saying, the birthing experience. All of that can really contribute to hardening in the tissues, which then puts a twist on our whole pelvic region, and can actually affect us all the way up, cause a lot of headaches, or all the way down through the legs.
This is interesting. This is interesting because once you start doing all that de-armoring, sexual de-armoring, you will have this renewed sense of, oh, I want to enjoy and explore my sexuality. And then you're telling me, if this area of the body is not correctly positioned, you can get a headache. So women are like, I don't want to have sex because I have a headache. Well, ladies, work on that pelvic area, get rid of those headaches, get all that energy flowing. And I've had women that done the energetic works that say, I was never able to have a vaginal orgasm before the session. So I can imagine you have stories like this as well.
Yes,
where
absolutely.
It's the energy, just the blood flow in that part of the body is what is the sense. Yeah, getting rid of that contraction, the constriction, opening it up, letting the blood flow, and just feeling all those sensations again.
Because sometimes we can also have physical restrictions around our G-spot that we're not allowed to feel pressure in that area. And so when we start to release and open up that tissue, the blood flow comes back in, the oxygen comes back in. There's just a sense of openness that takes the fear that might be residing there out and opens to the love and connection that's possible.
Yes.
But I also really want to emphasize that I believe your work also, but it's not just about being able to feel more sexual pleasure in connection with another person, but it's really about owning it for ourselves so that we live more within our own womb space where we hold a lot of creative power as women.
Yeah. It's that pelvic
Power.
womb power. Yes. And you've written several books about this topic. Can you tell me a few of your best-selling books?
Well, I have a book on reclaiming our pelvic power in this way.
Wow, that feels powerful.
Yes.
Yeah, reclaiming the pelvic power.
I do feel like many of us have lost awareness and connection with this part. And again, it's like we get the area, from a medical standpoint, we get the area evaluated. And then from a relationship, we might be there giving birth or connecting with a partner, and all that is for someone else. And I really want to emphasize about coming home to our own energetic and to our own physical presence for our own energetic empowerment.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And when we're talking about all this womb power, we don't want to leave the man out because, I mean, every man comes from a womb and every man has a pelvic area. So how would that relate to the men that are watching and want to know more about it?
Well, also this whole tissue, it's really connected out to both sides of our hips and our low back and our abdominal areas. So things like our digestive system, our movement ability, so that we get a lot of stiff hips in our society, which leads to a lot of total hip replacements.
Wow.
Men develop a lot of prostate issues, and we seem to say, because it's so common, that this is somewhat normal with the aging process, and it does not need to be that way. It's because there are aspects of our tissue that are going unaddressed.
Beautiful. And I love, because you say all the tissue is connected, and you have this beautiful like imagery that you use of a spider's web.
Yes, so we say the fascial system is like a spider's web, so that when you pull on a web, it affects the whole orientation and space of that spider web. It's not like just one string kind of goes. So it's the same with our physical bodies, in that when we have a tight restriction that's binding us down, it's going to put a pull on the whole of me, not just on that one little string.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. I want to wrap it up with this because it's a beautiful imagery of how everything is holistic, how the energy and the physical treatment, everything works together. So finding that balance, fine-tuning what works for you, and just tuning into your body. What is your body telling you? Because it is talking to you.
Definitely.
It is talking to you, and all it wants for you is to listen and to take the appropriate action. So it was my absolute pleasure, Lori, to introduce you to all my viewers and to the ladies that are coming to my 3-day intensive. This is the lady. And if you want to make any private appointments with Lori, because it's one-on-one that you do if they want to make an appointment, but Lori also teaches training courses for professionals and for
the lay person that wants to just get
so maybe if you want to say something more about that or your website, and then I'll put all Lori's details in the comment section below.
So my website is pelviswellness.com, and we've been giving seminars for health professionals on how to really treat the pelvic floor area, and how it's not just about the pelvic floor, but as Sandra is saying, it's about the whole relationship connection to the whole body, and how, as with her work, the energy can also change your physical tissue. So when we release the energetic restrictions and reconnect energetically, the physical tissue changes. It can also go the opposite way, where the physical tissue release also makes a difference in our energetic being. because they're hand in hand, and we really want to marriage the energy with the physicality. So in the pelvic floor seminars, we really do emphasize a lot of that. So I've been teaching for health professionals and also opening it up to the lay person who wants to really emphasize this area of their body, heal some of that past trauma, understand it also from a holistic medical perspective, and really bring that honoring in the connection of the energy and the physicality to this powerful aspect of our beingness. And it's no different really than any other part of the body. It's just that it's been ignored a lot or hushed up and kept hidden and not talked about. So the more we talk about it and gather to bring awareness and open up consciously.
We're here to break that taboo.
Yes.
Vagina, vagina, vagina. Okay, taboo is out of the way.
So we'd love to have you participate in all that we're doing to really bring greater wholeness to the whole of us, to all aspects of our being.
Yes, and be sure to contact either Lori or myself if you have any specific issues that you want to talk about or address, because there's like an infinite number of little things that can be going on in that whole area, and everything can be addressed and approached holistically. So go to Lori's website, go to my website and find out more, and hope to see you soon here in Sedona. Bye.
Bye.